A lot of times the most satisfying tools that you can have for any specific job are ones that you've made yourself. And for a while, I've been after a carburetor um, stand that will allow me to well, not only support the carburetors but also rotate them. And I've seen one or two on the internet, but they're quite expensive. And I've seen other ones that I really want, and they're now no longer available and out of production. So I thought, what can I make a wee carburetor stand? Something. I mean, it's not one of these things that you're going to be using all the time unless you're, doing this for a living. But for the hobbyist, I'm just wondering, you know, could you make one and make it sort of portable and usable and, I mean, inexpensive as well? So this is the garage. This is an old lock-up garage here. It's not my own garage, but it's an old storage garage that I have access to. There's one or two old bits and pieces lying about, and here's something here that I'm wondering, could I make a carburetor stand from, believe it or not, and that is an old table, an old desk. Looks to be from the 19 sort of 70s or something. And I think I could make or utilize this to make a carburetor stand. So stay with me. I'm going to use these parts here as the base, and I'm going to remove this here, and the same on the other side. Rather than use these legs, these are going to be the legs. So I'm going to drill this here out and separate it from the base. Okay, so that's all I need from that. This piece here. That's all I need. I can scrap the rest of it. So as you can see, I have this here clamped to this, and I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this off here because I just want this piece here, and then this will be cut off up here somewhere, and the same on the other side. Well, I've just decided to forget about any commercial size and just go that it'll be about 300 millimeters high or so. Okay. Okay, so that's the center of those. I just bored a little pilot hole there and screw this together. As you can see, I have these here already cut and drilled for an 8mm threaded screw to go in there, and but this is only to screw it together to see where we're going with it, So that's kind of the idea there. So I found these parts here in this garage, and you know, I think they'll come in very handy. These wee screws here, they're M8. All right. So what I'm thinking of doing here is I have two of these. See that plate there? If I saw that plate off there, right? I saw that plate off there and drill a hole there and there on the other side, and I can like countersink it there. What I can do with that is, see the end of this here? I can drill a hole that size there, and recess that into that. Okay, and that way, whenever I will have then a threaded piece here that I can screw my thing into here. All right. So I think a 16mm bit would be perfect for that. Okay, and then I'll just drill that into there. All right. So I'll just bore a wee pilot hole in it first, you know, in there where I have it marked. Right. Then we'll go in here. Now we don't need to go too deep because, you know, you're only going in the depth of that, but still, just make sure that's well enough clamped down. You see it on the other end, and then bore a hole in there, about 9mm on down in there. Okay. I think that's about it. That feels pretty good. Right, now the trimming, obviously, that feels fairly good. So it's a good tight fit. So obviously I'll be, you know, trimming all this here off, and you know, boring a couple of holes there, countersinking them and screwing that in, and have the same scenario at both ends. Right, let's bore a hole down the middle of that. Okay, so we've got 8mm thread screws that'll be going in there. So let's bore this hole down here 9mm. Give ourselves a wee bit of clearance. I think that's plenty deep enough. All right. So there'll be obviously longer screws in that, you know, because there'll be a oh, I can't remember what they're called now, but I'll show you them in a wee minute or two. So here's the wee plates on, as you can see, and they're filed absolutely flush with the outside of the timber. There you go. And here's these wee knobs here, and these screws. Now I know you can get ones that'll have already got a screwed end on them. Let me see. A bit like these old ones here, you know, that's already part of it, but you know, these are the ones I'm going to be using. I'll machine the end of that there down a wee bit so that it goes down in there and out the other side, and then screws in there to hold this all together. Like, I'm just using bits and pieces of scrap lying about here and there, and see if I can do this as efficiently and cheaply as possible. So here you are. Here's these screws with the heads reduced. There's what a standard sized head looks like. So we'll just now, I mean, I could red thread lock these in, and I maybe will in you know, in the final assembly, but it's just to sort of you know, get a you know, a mock-up done of these, and see what's happening, you know, see if it all fits right, you know, as a bit of a dry run first. Plus I want to put like a wee, you know, a wee dial indicator on there to see what angle I want to set these at. And you know, as I say, that'll just go in there like that on both sides, both ends, you know. So that'll be the way that'll be there. All right, and of course I can put these wee end caps in, but I'll not put them in until, you know, decide whether I'm going to red thread lock them in or not. All right, guys. Oh, and I also found a bit of blockboard. Goodness, when was the last time you seen blockboard? Goodness, that's a thing of the 1970s. But anyway, it's nice and flat, so I cut a piece of that. It was just lying about in this garage here. Cut a piece of that for the base for this stand, and of I'll order little four little rubber feet, one for each corner, for that as well. And yeah, we're getting there. Okay, guys, how's this? How about this for ingenuity? I want to put a, you know, a degree dial on the end of it, on the end of these here. And I know you can buy, you know, a cam degree dial, but they're usually very big, you know, usually about 165 millimeters in diameter, or even the small ones, like, you know, about 7 inches in diameter, and it's far too big, and I don't want it to infringe on the me working at the carbs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get something that's just 4 inches in diameter that has degrees around it, and I want a backing plate for it. So this is an old aluminium mug, or soup oh, I don't know what the heck it is anyway, but it was lying in there, and the diameter of the bottom of that is a bit more than 100 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to mount it in the lathe, bring it down to the right size, and use it as a backing plate for my dial. All right, let's saw this here off without cutting the hand myself. So there it is. You'd have bother drinking out of that now, wouldn't you? There's a hole in my bucket. Oh, it's up to, I was upside down there. That's the right way. All right, I want that bit because I can set a, you know, and I've left that little lip around there. You'll notice that. So I'm gonna put a hole in the middle of that there, and I am going to machine that down, right down, to just like a couple of millimeters or less, and that'll do my back. That'll be a backing plate for me, which will be absolutely perfect. All right, guys. So I want to machine this piece here, like I was saying there, and I want to be able to hold it in the chuck. And to do that, I have switched out the jaws of the chuck. You know, these are the stock ones, you know, the standard ones. For these ones that, you know, you can move out, you know, and grip the outside lip of the of this piece here, you know, this little lip. So let's do that. All right, so you can see how that has gripped the outside, that little lip that I left on that whenever I was cutting it. And that then will allow me to bore a center hole in that to at 8mm to pass through the wee threaded knobs. And then it'll also allow me to put an 8mm bolt in there to hold that while I machine this lip. So let's do that. Okay, so like I was saying there, this is the wee screw in knob that just passes through there perfectly, and that'll go into the threaded piece that I made earlier that goes into the wooden rail that holds the carbs. All right, guys, so there's the wee 8mm bolt in there. Now I'll grip that in the jaws of the chuck, and then I'll be able to machine the outside lip of that down a wee bit. But I've got to change the jaws back to the conventional ones again. Okay. So there's the conventional chucks jaws back in again. That means to say I can grip that like that and machine that outside lip off, or down a bit, I mean. Alright, so there it is. Now I might have to reduce the lip a little bit further when my 360-degree protractor comes, but I think that's pretty good. There's the other side of it there, polished up. Well, brush finished anyway. So now I have to mount this into one of the plates at the end of the wooden cross member and drill 2 holes in it. Okay, stay with me, guys. Alright, so we'll be taking these here out, screwing this to that, and then using those 2 holes as a guide to drill 2 holes in that so that the whole thing screws to the wooden member piece. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now we'll drill a hole there and a hole there, and then we'll be able to pass 2 screws through there, and that will fix to that. Okay. See the way those holes are exactly where they need to be. So all I've really got to do now is countersink them. Just like that. Okay. All right, so I kept that there together while I screwed that on. So now I can take that central bolt out and everything will be perfectly lined up. Just like that. Okay, so now when my protractor dial comes, I can fix it on there. Two tiny little screws. So I've decided to cut this down a wee bit. You know, it's always better to good practice to have the thing bigger than you think you're going to need it, and do like a trial run with it, because you can always trim it down and reduce it both in width and height, rather than make it too small and then you look and think, oh goodness, I can't do anything with it now, I can't add anything on. So initially I had cut this 300 millimeters, like it was just, you know, a ballpark figure, 300 millimeters from there to there. But now I've decided it's too high, so I'm going from there, the bottom, to there, 230. And you'll see here I've already trimmed the point of that, you know, that would have come down here, but I'm gonna reduce it in width a little bit more. So I'm making this here, between here and here, 255 millimeters. All right, so that's them reduced, and I'll obviously have to repaint them, and that's no problem. The other thing is I want to do is I want to make a little pointer here, like a little needle pointer here, that will point to the degree that I want to rotate my carbs to on the dial. And I'll do that with a piece of brass wire here. And I'll bore a tiny little hole there and wrap it around a screw and put that in. Let you see that. Okay, so here's my little pointer. Now I'll obviously have to trim it to length, whatever that might be, after my dial comes. I've drilled a little hole here and I'm going to tap it to an M3 by 0.5 thread pitch. All right.